Native Americans once depended on these animals to survive. European explorers came in search of these animals for warmth, nourishment, and commerce. Today, these animals flourish in Illinois. They swim, they climb, they burrow, they reproduce and grow. They are a valuable part of the state's landscape. They are the Furbearers of Illinois. The term furbearer refers to mammals that traditionally have been hunted and trapped for fur. There are 14 species classified as furbearers in Illinois, although only 12 may be legally hunted and trapped today. Fur is an adaptation that helps animals keep warm during harsh Illinois winters and keeps cold water away from the animal's skin. Furbearers have 2 layers of fur, guard hairs and an undercoat. Guard hairs are long, thin hairs that act like a windbreaker and raincoat. The undercoat is shorter, denser, and more curly. It is the long underwear layer of fur that keeps warmth in and cold out. You may not have seen all of Illinois' furbearers in the wild, but one furbearer that you've probably seen many times is the raccoon. Raccoons are everywhere, from woodland settings to urban backyards. Illinois Department of Natural Resources biologists believe there are more raccoons in the state now than when the first European settlers arrived. Around Chicago, biologists have counted as many as 100 raccoons per square mile. Raccoon hunting and trapping have a long heritage in Illinois that continues today. Hunters and trappers help keep raccoon populations in check and slow the spread of disease. Distemper is a disease that slowly kills thousands of raccoons, foxes, coyotes, and even domestic dogs. The more raccoons there are in an area, the more easily the disease is spread. Regulated hunting and trapping help maintain healthy populations of furbearers and reduce problems with nuisance raccoons that damage property and crops. Illinois regulations protect young animals by allowing hunting and trapping only during winter months when raccoons are grown. If you listen at night, you can sometimes hear the yips and howls of coyotes in Illinois' rural and suburban areas. Coyotes thrive in mixes of farmland, woodland, and grassland. But they've also spread to suburban areas where their presence is not always appreciated. Biologists constantly monitor coyote populations using scientific research to set hunting and trapping regulations. Coyotes are sometimes trapped and fitted with special collars that allow biologists to track them on the ground and by satellite. Coyotes are rarely a threat to humans, but they will prey on small domestic dogs and cats. Like coyotes, foxes are in the canine or dog family. The 2 foxes found in Illinois appear similar at first glance, but their habits and habitats are different. The red fox looks much like a small dog with a long pointed muzzle, pointed ears, and a long bushy tail. Red foxes prefer grasslands and other open areas, especially those along the edges of woodlands. In recent years, red foxes have set up housekeeping in suburban areas of Illinois, mainly to escape coyotes that prey upon them and to feed on the abundant cottontail rabbits found there. Gray foxes have a reddish-gray coat and a tail tipped with black, but their most striking difference is not their coloration, it's their habit for taking to the trees. The gray fox is the only canine that can climb trees. It climbs to avoid predators, such as coyotes, and to search for eggs and berries. Both red and gray foxes live throughout Illinois. Grays are most common in west central and southern Illinois because these parts of the state have more forest. Reds dominate the open field and prairie areas in the northern 2/3 of the state. Badgers, the flat-bodied furbearers known for their feisty behavior when provoked, are master diggers. They live primarily in the sandy soil prairies of northwestern and central Illinois, but they have expanded their range southward where forests have been cleared. Thin, transparent membranes protect a badger's eyes as it digs. Long, stiff hairs help keep soil out of its ears. If you travel Illinois' roadways at night, you have almost certainly spotted a fur bearer distantly related to a kangaroo in your headlights. Just like the kangaroo, the opossum has a pouch. Possums are the only marsupials, or pouched animals, found in the United States. When possums are born, they crawl to their mother's pouch, where they attach themselves to a nipple to feed for the next 3 months. Sometimes people think that humans are bad news for all wildlife. The possum is an example of a critter that has actually benefited from human civilization. Historically, possums roamed only southern Illinois. They found it difficult to survive the cold up north. Human settlement and farming provided more food sources for possums to scavenge, so their survival improved and their range expanded throughout the state. Illinois DNR biologists keep track of possum range and the populations of other fur bearers by counting the number of animals found dead on the roadways. Another fur bearer, the striped skunk, is commonly seen, or rather smelled, on Illinois highways. Skunks feed on dead animals they find, but their favored food sources are insects, eggs, and berries. Skunks are slow-moving and docile. Their senses of sight, hearing, and smell are poor compared to many predators. When cornered, skunks blast a smelly, eye-stinging, yellowish, oily liquid that makes predators think twice. 2 species of weasels, the long-tailed weasel and least weasel, are the smallest and arguably pound for pound the feistiest of Illinois' fur bearers. Weasels can kill prey 2 to 3 times their size. Long-tailed weasels weigh less than a pound and are about a foot long. Least weasels weigh in at 1 to 3 ounces, about the same weight as a small cell phone, and measure only 9 inches. A larger member of the weasel family, the river otter, is making a comeback in Illinois waterways. Unlike its dryland cousins, the weasels, otters spend most of their time in and around water, feeding on fish, frogs, and crayfish. Otters have extremely dense fur, up to 500,000 hairs per square inch, which keeps them warm in frigid waters. Otters were common in Illinois prior to European settlement. Unregulated harvest, habitat loss, and pollution caused otters to disappear almost entirely from Illinois by the early 1900s. In the mid-1990s, 346 river otters were captured in Louisiana using foothold traps. Illinois DNR biologists released the otters in southeastern and central Illinois. Though classified as endangered when they were first reintroduced to the state, by 2004, otters were found in every Illinois county and taken off the state's endangered species list. The mink is another member of the weasel family that lives along the water's edge. When biologists conduct streamside surveys for otter, beaver, and mink, they find signs of mink at nearly 3/4 of all the sites they check. Mink are dependent on lakes, rivers, and marshes for survival. They hunt frogs, mice, fish, crayfish, birds, and muskrats. Mink spend nearly all of their time within 100 feet of the water's edge, but they'll occasionally cut across open country from one body of water to another. The prolific muskrat is a common inhabitant of Illinois lakes, streams, and marshes. Muskrats build dome-shaped houses by cutting and piling up cattails and bulrushes. They also burrow into banks with their long, strong front claws. They are often an expensive nuisance when they burrow into man-made dams or manicured lakefront lawns. If muskrats had no predators, their numbers would increase immensely. Thanks to hawks, owls, mink, and trappers, muskrat numbers are kept in balance. In many ways, the beaver has shaped what Illinois is today. Early explorers came to the area in search of valuable beaver pelts. Trade in beaver pelts was a primary economic drive in early settlements, paving the way for agriculture and industry. Beavers have altered the Illinois landscape as well. Their industrious dam-building behavior changes the courses of streams and creates wildlife-rich wetlands. Beavers eat up to 2 pounds of bark and plants each day. To feed this appetite, beavers fell trees with powerful jaws and teeth. Their chewing and damming are fascinating, but destructive too. A colony of beavers can easily flood roads and yards and destroy valuable timber and crops. Since beavers have few predators, trapping is a critical tool for controlling their numbers, where people and beavers conflict over use of the land. Illinois DNR biologists monitor beaver populations statewide and preserve natural areas where beavers and other wildlife can thrive. Illinois' only wildcat is a rare sight, but its numbers are on the rise. Bobcats are shy, elusive fur-bearers that live in large forested areas, primarily in southern Illinois. But their numbers are increasing in northern and central portions of the state. Biologists estimate that there are about 2,200 bobcats in Illinois south of Interstate 64. During the past century, fur-bearers have prospered in Illinois because of people who cared about wildlife conservation. Problems caused by hunting and trapping overharvest were solved through scientifically based regulations and enforcement by Illinois DNR conservation police officers. Rare species were restored through reintroduction to the state. Habitat was protected by hunters, trappers, and other conservationists. As we look ahead to the next century, protecting and managing habitat will be the most important steps for maintaining healthy populations of fur-bearers and other wildlife. Habitat is what the fur-bearers of Illinois need most to survive and to thrive.